This will be my final day in Seoul, and this won't be a complete trip if I didn't visit one of the top tourist destinations, or should I say a military active zone, as you have already seen from the title where I'll be heading to. After being picked up early morning from a downtown hotel, we hurtled up north towards the DMZ where we got some background information about the DMZ and relationship between the north and south, followed with some questions that we could ask the tour guide. An hour of bus ride later, we arrived at a spot called Imjingak, or Nuri Park in English. This is where a visitor pass is obtained in order to be allowed into the DMZ. This is a first come first served basis, so our tour guide had to run in to queue up. There are several things that Nuri Park offers, one of which is a gondola ride into the DMZ. However, I'm not entirely sure how that works or whether you are allowed to get off on the other side. Based on Google Maps, it does seem to be possible, and there may be a souvenir shop there as well. There is a lookout from one of the buildings, but I tried to look a way up but couldn't find any way or entry, so I must have missed something, although the surroundings have plenty of other things to look at, including a paid museum, which I didn't do given that we were slightly tight on time and I didn't know how long that would take. In certain areas, we were fairly close to the fence where the DMZ begins, and from one area I could hear the speaker playing Korean songs. Given that the North Korean DMZ border is still quite a distance away, I wasn't sure if that was meant to be entertainment for the South Korean soldiers or a pointless installation. I'll play a recording of the music but won't show the view given that there were signage stating that we could be prosecuted for doing so. Hi, very good morning here at quite close to the DMZ zone. It's actually right before we cross the checkpoint to enter the military zone for the DMZ. So we are here at the one of the rest stop, which is the first rest stop for the day, and yeah, we have got a little bit of a picture gallery, but they are all in in Korean, so I cannot really understand what it's saying. But yeah, there are seems to be pictures of the leaders of the North and the South together. But yeah, today I woke up at about like 6 a.m. and then yeah, I was still half asleep, and yeah, basically didn't record anything and had to rush to get to the pickup hotel, which was supposed to be 8, but they changed it to 7:30. So yeah, it was a little bit of a rush, but we got here in the end. It's only about an hour drive from Seoul, and our tour guide is actually getting our tickets to enter the DMZ area. I think they say it's a first come first serve basis, so hopefully we'll get the tickets. But yeah, that's all we have for now. We'll be departing in about an hour, or well, 50 minutes from now, and we'll be heading into the checkpoint. But over here we have like gondolas and we have some cafes and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think it's included in the tour. So I don't know whether we can do any of that or even if we have got enough time. But yeah, we'll probably go and explore a little bit more. I think there is some public area up top, so I'll go up and have a look and see what they have on offer. Apart from a little bit of this, there might be some other stuff up there that might be quite interesting. After we get back on the bus, we were told that initially we had a few hours of wait time, but a group backed out and we got the slot right on time to head in. A private tour group joined us, which I am sure is organized by the same company, and they were sitting on the last row. As we approached the checkpoint, I took a video of the DMZ sign and the private tour guide then shouted at me saying that I'm not allowed to film, which was not communicated to us before, and I was sensible enough to know that military personnel and equipment should not be filmed. Maybe that's what she presumed I filmed, but for the rest of the journey I didn't dare to film anything as I wasn't sure whether she was targeting me specifically. The reason was that other passengers were openly filming and taking photos, which I saw a person filming and another where a shutter going off somewhere near me, but the tour guide didn't say a word. We got off the bus on the first stop inside the DMZ, which is a museum and the third tunnel. We were showed a video presentation of the history and being led into the museum area where there are mock-ups of maps and artifacts. Then we continued towards the third tunnel where we were not allowed to film and had to lock our phones in the locker before entering. The tunnel is 73 meters deep and we had to walk through a 358 meters long steep slope walkway followed with 200 meter cave that's below 180 centimeters tall, so I had to kneel down slightly most of the way, and that gave me a backache. At the end of it are 3 concrete walls with a small hole that we can see through, which seems like a rainforest. There are cameras installed and TV to show what's on the other side. We would be about 170 meters away from the North Korean border at that exact spot. I stayed for about 15 seconds while many just turned around after a couple of seconds. While I'm glad I've done it, I don't think I would do it again, simply that there's not really anything interesting to see and we were under quite a bit of time pressure as the journey back up would be quite challenging. Fortunately, there are quite a good air conditioning system going on all the way to the top, so at least it wasn't a sweaty workout. The next stop for us was the Dora Observatory, which has 2 levels of viewing area but the top has no glass obstruction, and they have installed multiple binoculars for people to look out towards the North Korean DMZ. It is mainly a quiet hilly area with a small amount of development, which we were told that there are over villages and industry set up, but I believe that is no longer occupied. I'm here at the observatory on the Dora Hills, and on this side is South Korea. So we have the DMZ just behind us, and then back there where the binoculars are, that's North Korea. We can see some of the DMZ, and then we can see a bit of the town. It's quite interesting. It's definitely There's not much there though. There were some buildings, a big flag, but that's about it. I couldn't really see too much from this point. I don't think there's much build up over here anyway. But yeah, it's been quite interesting. We had quite a bit of time there and I saw the private tour guide alone on the side, so I took the opportunity to ask her what that was about. And she told me that filming the soldiers are prohibited, which I explained to her that I was filming the sign and I knew that filming sensitive things and others were filming or taking photos after the checkpoint, but she didn't say anything, and I thought that it was a missed opportunity for me to get some good content to show you all. She told me that filming and photos inside the bus is not allowed regardless, so I informed her that this policy should have been explained to us prior to departure, and she agreed with me, but given that she is not our tour guide, she had to talk to our tour guide whom is more senior and she didn't want to overstep either. After she got on the bus, she talked to our tour guide, and as we moved towards the last stop, we were then told by our tour guide that legally we were not allowed to, but unofficially no one cares, as we are tourists and will not be prosecuted for it. So in his opinion is that we can act on our own judgment, which the private tour guide disagreed and tried to cut in, but he stopped her, which is probably a cultural issue, and I've written a little bit more about my opinion on that on my blog notanothertravel.com. You can check out and read a bit more about this and the religious obsession in South Korea. As we approached our last stop inside the DMZ, we were told that this was not a regular stop they made, but given that we had plenty of time left, we were able to do an extra stop. It is a small village with a few stores and a supermarket. One of the stores sells locally produced soybean ice cream or latte. I tried the ice cream but not a huge fan of the soybean taste. As we made our 1-hour journey back to Seoul, we were all unexpectedly brought to a shopping trip, the so-called Ginseng Museum, in an unmarked office building, which is very suspicious, and there were a lot of staff members stationed around the entrance and the floor where the museum is located. There's a small section of history and benefits about ginseng which were presented by a very fluently speaking English speaker, and then we were led into a closed room filled with a dozen staff members ready to serve us with samples and try to sell us the goods. I knew that ginseng is an expensive item and I don't personally have the budget to buy it, so I tried to be as unnoticeable as possible, but eventually they still caught me with no samples on hand and got me to take one. Eventually I escaped with the first group of people who wanted out of there. Needless to say, we weren't really happy about the unannounced detour. Oh, and there's no footage of it because filming is not allowed. I wonder why. For my last dinner in Seoul, I wanted to try this vegan restaurant near my Airbnb that I didn't get to try on the first night. I ordered the black bean sauce noodle and it was pretty good. I do cook them at home, but they must have added something else to make it taste slightly different. The rest of the evening, I went to the night market around Myeongdong and called it a day as I'll be leaving early the next morning. My overall impression of South Korea has been rather average given that I've just come from Japan where everything seems to be so organized and easy. I had trouble even getting to the train station first thing in the morning, hence I had to rebook my accommodation from Gangnam to where the Seoul station is. The mapping system is rather challenging to navigate given that they have their own mapping due to the unfinished wall between the north and south. The people, especially around the service industry, can be a hit or miss. Having traveled to so many countries, I find that I've encountered more rudeness and attitude here than other places I've been to. Don't even get me started with restaurants shutting down their kitchen or restaurant at 8 PM, which is absolutely ridiculous given that that is barely late enough for a city of this size. Maybe I was in the wrong area, even though it was still bustling with people, but that's the only reference I have given the short amount of time I have in Seoul. Would I ever return to South Korea in the future? Maybe if there's a purpose for me to return, but otherwise I would much rather visit other countries, especially Japan where it is just as densely populated and have some of the most unique and quirky culture in the world. If you haven't watched my Japan vlogs, make sure to check that out on my playlist right now. There will be more exciting videos on the way for 2024, so make sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so, and check out my Patreon if you want to support my work and gain exclusive benefits. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you all very soon. Peace, love, and safe travels.